My name is Scott DeMuth, and this is the small group interaction for STG 390 Week 4. Um, my first impressions with the interaction with the group is it was similar to other groups I've been a part of, but that did change by the time we got to our last meeting. We did do a Zoom for our last meeting because we had done one for the project previous to this, and that Zoom meeting really upped our game, if you will. It made us more of a team. I think we transformed into a team when we determined that the goal is what was important, and I think we also put faces to our names. Jonathan took an initial leadership role. I took the lead in getting the Zoom meeting together and putting the video together for the last project. So there was kind of a transition there, but we meshed well at that last Zoom meeting. For the other projects, we did a second Zoom meeting, like I said, for this final project, for our final meeting for this project. Neither Callie or I had much knowledge of the stock market. I believe it's artificially inflated and doomed to fail at any moment, so I stay away from it. And I think Callie, because she's not from here originally, doesn't have any experience with it. So we kind of let Jonathan take the lead on that as far as like picking the stocks and introducing us to it initially. There was no change as we rotated through the observer role, which is this here. Jonathan took the early role as leader since we were out of our element, and we kind of let him roll with it. But when it came time to determine for the meeting, as far as what to do with the stocks and everything, that was a group decision, and that's the way we approached it. I think the norm that developed, again, was John as the team leader until the last meeting, since I took it upon myself to take care of the Zoom meeting. That kind of, was a transition for us there. With the last meeting being a Zoom meeting, we stayed late, and I think some of that was getting to know each other because we could put faces to the names now, and I think that was also helpful. It did, I think, getting to know each other actually helps in team building, which again, we were more of a team than a group by the time we got to the end of this. Our attendance was better, especially at the end, and I think meetings was something of a misnomer for us because we're two different time zones on opposite ends of the country. So we would communicate through the chat, but it wasn't until, it's kind of, I would say something because I have free time during the day, but Jonathan, by the time he got his free time out on the West Coast, it was 10 o'clock here. So that was kind of the way we met, if you will. But since we had to do the Zoom meeting for the other project, and we actually had to force ourselves to take the time, it was really beneficial, and it did help us get to finish this project for our third meeting. And I'll address the different time zones in a couple minutes also. The Zoom meeting turned out to be a blessing in disguise. It required, like I said, each of us to set aside time to talk. The leadership was primarily collaborative. This was not life or death, and we all knew it. It was successful as we were all open to what the others had to say. There was no, I know better. Even though Jonathan knew more, it didn't necessarily mean he knew better. Power was evenly distributed across the group. The same for status, at least in my opinion. Callie was mostly quiet, but when she did have value, or when she did have input, we listened to it and we valued what she had to say. Callie and I spoke our piece, even though Jonathan was, technically in the lead there. The group voted on what was said, and we did it. And what we did move forward as a group. There were no power plays, and we talked through all the decisions, each of us. Interactions were balanced out between us. There were no cliques. The interaction would have been better with earlier Zoom, in my opinion, or a similar get-together meeting video conference, whatever term you want to use. Um, I think also if we had been closer in time zones, it would have benefited us more because we might have been able to set a time to go group chat, maybe. But I definitely feel it would have benefited more if it was a work scenario where we're all doing it for work. It would probably be a different situation. But between work and life and school and whatever, and then the 3 hour time difference, it made it difficult to get together. Um, but I do feel that the Zoom meeting and what happened after it made us a more cohesive group. And the only ritual that we had was that we greeted each other all the time. We seemed to flow through the stages, and by the end, we were at the performing stage, and we didn't even realize we had gone through the other stages. It was just like we got together almost like fast friends, and we just said, "Hey, let's do this," and we did it. Our agenda was direct and to the point. We needed to figure out the stocks, and after seeing what had happened to them, we made the determinations, and then we moved forward. And we were successful in the way we handle things. Our group, I think, was successful overall. Not only did we increase the talons, as it were, biblically, um, that we had, we also grew as a group into a team, in my opinion. And the recommendations I would make would be earlier Zoom meetings in the course. I think it fosters growth. And when the instructors divide up the class, if they have the option, to try and group the time zones closer together. And that's what I have. Thank you very much.